Hi there, and I'm glad you're joining me on AAU Talks. My name is Ajiman Ochudako. Today I'll be joined by two representatives from the E-LearnAfricaLMS to discuss the success story of the AAU E-LearnAfricaLMS story. LMS. Now, basically, this initiative began on the 7th of July 2021 during the AAU General Conference to ensure that there is a very unified platform to create electronic solutions for higher education institutions in the period of the pandemic, so that we can also have blended learning and more to it. So I'll be joined by Professor Magnus and also Professor Ziphorah, so we can share more about the success story of the AAU E-LearnAfricaLMS platform and many more. Don't go anywhere, just stay with me as we do such discussions on this short break. Be with us. That is AAU Talks. My name is Ajiman Ochudako, and I want to just give a quick flashback on the 7th of July 2021 during the 15th quadrennial AAU General Conference. Saw the launch of the AAU E-LearnAfrica Learning Management System, which was launched. And this system was to deploy learning management system to support African higher education institutions with these systems during the COVID-19 pandemic on how to transfer learning from traditional settings to online settings. And now I'm here with the team from E-LearnAfrica, and I'm glad to interview them on the success story of the AAU E-LearnAfrica Learning Management System and further prospects. So if you can hear me, I want to introduce Professor Magnus and Professor Ziphorah. Thank you very much for your time for this interview discussing the success story of the AAU E-LearnAfrica Learning Management System. But we want to start with the trajectory. We want to know the inception of this partnership to solve a great challenge that we had been facing for decades in the African continent. So I would like to start from you, Prof. Magnus, if you don't mind, to give us that inception we need on how we began and how did it really come this far?
Okay, so we started Nexus International University in 2011, knowing fully well that in-classroom education was becoming as not convenient for learners as it could be. And we started pioneering with online education as far back as 10 years ago.
Okay.
We did not envisage the pandemic at the time. Okay. But that was the situation, yes. So we are at the point now that the pandemic has brought to life or to notice the level of digital deficiencies that we have in Africa. For example, my university is situated in Uganda, and we are the only university that has kept running throughout the pandemic season. You know, it is unfortunate that billions of infrastructure are lying fallow right now in university campuses dotted all over Africa. Now, there is just one solution to it. The one solution to it is to create digital classrooms. And what E-LearnAfrica has done, to create digital classrooms. By the way, what is the definition of a classroom? A classroom is a place where teachers interact with students, where teachers interact with instructional materials, where students interact with instructional materials, where students interact among themselves. So what E-LearnAfrica has done is to replicate that physical four-square classroom into a digital space where students will interact with their course materials, will interact with their lecturers in live classes, and the lecturers will interact with students and interact with course materials. But even beyond that, the classroom lectures are not recorded. Online lectures are recorded and uploaded. So if a student had missed his class or her class, he can go back and download this and relive the class in his own private space. Again, students can use these recorded lectures for revision in future. Now, you have to walk down to a school library to be able to access books. Now we have e-libraries. E-LearnAfrica has incorporated this as part of the platform. So we have the online library. You don't need to take a taxi to go to the library anymore. All you need to do is to have a gadget that can access the library through the internet. And you have probably 50 million volumes of books at your disposal, right in the comfort of your home or your office, or even in a taxi, or in a natural park where you are cooling off. So that's another part of it. And then finally, the final part of it is that there are so many resources online these days that you don't need to depend on only the teacher as a source of instruction. So all these have been brought together into the platform created by E-LearnAfrica. And we as universities are finding our objectives and targets cut out, by the provision of this platform. Like I said, we have been on it for 10 years, and we are bringing also, Nexus International University is bringing our experience over the last 10 years onto the AAU E-LearnAfrica platform. So that's the little thing I can say, and as we progress, we shall look at the challenges of this as well.
It's quite interesting. I want to know who the brilliant mind behind the E-LearnAfrica Prof. Magnus. A little bit about yourself, something very little about yourself that we don't know.
I wouldn't arrogate that to myself. The internet was existing before we started to leverage it. But E-LearnAfrica is actually being pioneered by Mr. Brook Negusi. He is African. He's made in Africa. He lives in the United States. And we are very happy to partner with him and share our experience with him. But he is the brain behind E-LearnAfrica. We are practitioners who are feeding in our experience and also learning from the new gadgets he's bringing onto the platform. So Mr. Brook Negusi is the person to actually direct that question.
Great. Let's get this from Prof. Ziphorah. Prof, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Prof.
Prof. Ziphorah, we've heard about the great story with UNISA, University of South Africa, and the fact that e-learning has been transformed with the digital classes over there. Can you share with us some more about that case study with the UNISA and an African University shaping futures in the service of humanity?
Yes, I will share with that, but instead I had sent a small snapshot that the facts should speak for themselves of what UNISA is all about and where are we at the present moment. I don't know if Esther has got it or?
I think we can proceed to the next question as we wait for the video to come up, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Right. So this is about blended learning. It's a good idea to have a full-time digital class, but we're now trying to have concerted efforts to blend learning in this case, whereby a little bit of face-to-face, a little bit of digital sessions, so we can have that balance. What is your view towards and how is AAU eLearnAfrica making actions to ensure that this blended learning is materialized?
To us, me coming from UNISA, which is a distant education anyway, I was curious to see what AAU is offering, because online platforms and blended learning has been UNISA's business anyway. So when I looked at the benefits that AAU is offering, I realized that this is something that one can tap on and come and share with the colleagues, especially the issue of network and data coverage, which, like I had indicated, that even if South Africa is set to be balanced in so far as some of those issues are concerned, the reality is that, as you know, we live in two worlds. The other world, it's that of rural students and even those in our so-called townships, that is the locations that are based on towns, on the towns metropolities. Still, we are still found falling short in as far as the issue of networks and data affordability is concerned.
Yes.
So I realized that AAU has got a lot to offer, which if the university could explore their benefits, we would really have much in terms of equitable justice in as far as online teaching is concerned.
I would like to move to Prof. Magnus, but before I go to him, let me just ask you, Prof. Ziphorah, you know,
Yes.
it gets intricate when we talk about blended learning in this case with the vast quota we have and the challenge we have, which is glaring at us with the distance, with reach, data provision. We also have some components like time, space, media, and activities. How are these being considered from the UNISA point of view with your case study?
In my case, I would say the issue of time, space, and what's the third one, Prof?
Media and activities.
Media and activities. The time factor is that with online learning, there isn't any time that is stated or prescribed for you to say now you are online and then the class is starting, like in case of space as well, whereby the student has to be in a lecture hall or in a classroom. The student can access information anywhere at any time, or even as a podcast, like we are where we are now. If there have been some students or colleagues that were not able to come and grace this occasion live with us here, after the link has been provided, presumably they can go back and follow the whole proceedings, make their comments and make notes if they could. And in terms of the other aspect, it's of the availability of lecturers or tutors or instructors. We have seen, I will talk about in the case of South Africa, whereby COVID-19 has really hit hard in many instances. Some colleagues on the platform can bear with us that we have lost a number of colleagues who have succumbed to COVID-19. And you can bear with me that it is not as easy as all that you can't replace a human being who has passed on yesterday and today, tomorrow you say, there you are replacing so and so. So with online teaching, if the course has been uploaded on the system and everything, even if the colleague, the dearly colleague has departed, those information or notes can be availed to the student. And in a way also, it would be something that the institution or the HR has been saved the task of having to advertise and employ other people and all that. Yes, we are needed, like we are here, and I'm telling you, without jobs we wouldn't be anywhere. But I'm just saying that the coverage and the benefits that are offered by online teachings and institutions like yours, with all these benefits packages that are specifically designed or aimed at helping the African child, can really comes in handy in bridging those gaps that have been brought by COVID-19.
Great. To you, Prof. Magnus, you know, there's this issue which is in our public media about digital infrastructure, that we may have a lot of them in our continent, but we do not have the requisite expertise to man them, or it can be vice versa. And it goes back and forth. What is your point of view towards these statements when you hear these comments moving up in our media that we actually do? It's either we don't have the appropriate or adequate digital infrastructure, or perhaps we don't have the right skills or right technocrats with us to man them. What is your view towards this, and how has the E-Learn Africa helped to support or fill this gap?
Okay, thank you very much, presenter. Again, I have to make this point. E-Learn Africa is like the vehicle, right?
Okay.
The digital infrastructure is like the road or the railway or the airport. You know, this is what I am trying to point out here, that though governments may do the PPP, the public-private partnerships.
Yep.
The building of the infrastructure, digital infrastructure, is same as building roads, airports, and seaports, etc.
Sure.
So what do I mean here? The major digital infrastructure is the fiber optics, right? These fiber optics, they are the high-speed internet carriers. And what we need now is for our government to take the strategic decision to say that every district, for example, should be connected through the fiber optics or with the fiber optics. And then the telecom companies will now tap into the trunks and deliver the high-speed broadband internet to the AAU E-LearnAfrica project, right?
Yeah.
And then the universities will tap into the E-LearnAfrica project as it is happening now. That is one arm of it. Then the other arm of it is, how do the students benefit from this? Because they will have to be in places where they have access to the internet, right? Now, there is what is happening in other jurisdictions. I'm not going to mention names, but you know we are talking about. Yeah. They are now creating hotspots, what are called hotspots, in filling stations, in parks, anywhere people get together to do something. There are hotspots there. And what are these hotspots? These hotspots are free internet access points. So, for example, all universities in Africa today will be looking for at least 3 or 5 or 6 or 10 hotspots, depending on the size of the university, so that students can literally walk into these hotspots, access their lectures, access lecture materials, upload their assignments, download videos, academic videos, or even take up their practicals, because I will say this, science has also gone online. You can do your physics practical, you can do your chemistry practical, you can do them simulated. Yeah. Mr. Jamie, I want to tell you something. You will never see a flight in the air of a Boeing 747 telling you that they are training a pilot in the air. No. It is all gone through. Yeah, you can never see that, because it is very expensive to do. So what they do is that they create simulators that is like the plane, and pilots are meant to be trained on those simulators. And the day the pilot is ready to fly, he's going to fly a real plane with real passengers on them. So training online has also gone that way. So you can take all your practicals. Even medical students are now taking practicals through simulation. And they are better trainers, because before you need to get a cadaver to operate on, but now you can do the simulation. And by the time you get to the cadaver, you are almost intermediate and expert, in dealing with that. So we need the government, in terms of infrastructure, to now start thinking of creating the digital highways, to start creating of the motor parks. The motor parks in this case will be hotspots where people can go and access the internet at just as free as we access the parks. If it means paying tax, we pay the tax. If it means buying data and knowing where to go and access your internet, that should be as simple as it is with cars. That is what we are looking for with internet connectivity as well. So the digital infrastructure, it may be a very big name for it, but it is as simple as places where we can access high quality, high speed internet connectivity.
Great. And stemming from that note, I want to also switch to Professor Ziphorah on the issue of digital equity against digital inclusion. I mean, there's limitation gap in between. Are we advocating for digital equity or perhaps digital inclusion? Prof. Ziphorah, what's your view on this and why?
AAU-LMS is pushing for digital equity for the mere fact that, or a combination of both, for the mere fact that you are not just looking at one person or institution, you are spreading your wings to all other institutions in Africa. And as a result, it is a combination or the premise of social justice that is aimed at covering each and every institution in Africa.
Okay. What's your view on this, Prof. Magnus, on the fact that are we beginning from digital equity and perhaps eventually realize digital inclusion? Where are we now and how are we working hard to ensure that we include everyone?
Okay, I don't want this to sound elitist. Digital equity should be part of our social protection. And I support what my colleague there, Professor Ziphorah, has just said. It should be part of our social protection. It should be in our social protection policy that every child of school age should at least have a gadget that could access the internet, if not for anything, for education purposes. That should be part of policy of any national government. If we are thinking that the internet is going to go away, I think we are thinking that one day air is going to vanish from the atmosphere. You know, it will be that difficult. So our governments should start now to start looking at digital equity. It shouldn't have to arise where it is only the rich that can afford a laptop, that can afford a smartphone, that can afford a tablet. That shouldn't be the case now. Technology is at a point where it can be minimized or increased depending on the context that it is needed. I bet you there will be tablets that could be peanuts for governments to acquire for primary school users, say from primary 1 to primary 3. And then from primary 4 to primary 6 or 7, depending on the jurisdiction where this is. And then for university students, this can be customized, tablets can be customized. But it needs myself and Professor Ziphorah and all our colleagues to come together and tell our government, our politicians, that we don't need this exclusion to exacerbate, that we need to include everybody from the word go. That education, we have said education is a right, yes. Also, it has moved from just education. Digital education now is the right, is the way to go, you know, and we cannot emphasize it enough. That digital equity, you know, when we give it this name, it sounds elitist. I don't want it to sound that way. You know, that as part of our social inclusion and social protection policies, we should include digital equity in it.
Great. You know, there's this question right here, and I would just want to narrate it to you. We have lots of challenges that students face with the fact that, you know, it's quite uncertain to commune on a digital platform because of these issues of connectivity. So you have a presentation and then you are about to share your candid points, and then you have sound breakages. Your internet is really on the low bandwidth, and your video is buffering, and you can't be heard, and your time is also eating out, and then you are desperate. All of these together, I mean, these are fears that students are really considering, that if we are to really move on with digital learning, that perhaps these should be considered. But we should have the quality assurance to just ensure that all of these wouldn't be occurring, because we can't afford to live with it. But how then do you phase this out with face-to-face, which really has something like my voice can be heard, my internet is not really working because I'm right before you, I'm talking. Is there any way that we can create this Pandora's box to ensure that these are not really experienced at all?
Okay, I can go there. I can take that question, and Professor Skora can add to it. Look,
sure.
Okay.
You know, when the first cars were made, they had only seat for one passenger, and then it got to 2 passengers. Now we have vehicles that can, carry 60 people, 60 passengers. We are at the early stages of this technology. Some people are still in 2G, some people are in 3G, some people are in 4G, and now even some countries have leveraged the 5G. Look, we are not going to look at the negatives. We are going to look more at the positives. We in institutions, we are making arrangements for students, talking to the telecom companies to see how they can improve the services in areas where, especially where students will need to access lectures. And generally, everybody needs e-commerce now in one way or the other.
Yeah.
Then secondly, most of the online live classes are recorded, and put up. Now I understand the situation where a student is supposed to make a presentation as part of his examination, or he's taking an online exam, and these hiccups happen. Yes, putting on your seatbelt does not mean that you may not have an accident, right? So we look at it from that way. But what happens if there is a breakage in connectivity, or the sound cuts, or something happens? So what we have done is that there is always a situation where we ask students to record and upload their presentation, or to go back and download what was presented in class. And we have created forum or fora where students can interact with their lecturers or their fellow students with chats. There will always be a recap of the class in terms of tutorials and so on and so forth. So I am looking at the positives more than the hiccups or challenges that we are facing. And in systems engineering, we are taught that if there were no problems, then you as an engineer will have no job. So system engineering is a process of facing challenges and finding solutions to them. And that's what we are doing with online classes, or blended classes, as we call them now. In fact, Zoom now calls them hybrid classes, hybrid education system. So we are moving forward, and at a time, we will get rid of most of these problems, or we will minimize them. But saying that we will be without problems, that will make the world very boring, isn't it?
Professor Ziphorah, what you got to say with regards to what Prof. Magnus said? There are problems. We try to improve on these challenges and be better. What's your view with regards to digital learning and the challenges?
Thank you so much for the way in which Professor Magnus have really shared with us and engaged all of us in this conversation. I would say that normally with COVID and what it has brought, everybody, in the lips of everybody, people are saying, oh, this is the new normal now. You must get used to it, that we hold our meetings on Zooms and so forth. But let's face it, in Africa, we are really in a situation, if we have to face reality, it is a question of change. It is a question of change for the students and for us, which is something that can be very much painful. Painful in the sense that I might be worried sick as a BBT, born before technology, that I'm going to lose my job because there's this technology that is sweeping over the world. But remember, in our case, the new rules and change cannot be said to be a new normal, because it is not the new normal. It's not that normal as yet in our case. That is why the issue of blended learning definitely comes in handy in our situation. Having said that, because much as we are looking at technology, we still have to incorporate, we still have that big question that is left behind of incorporating not only the developing technology, but also the neglected traditional means of knowledge systems that have been marginalized, that have been left behind as a result of colonialism. In that way, the new pathways will be open for Africa in concepts like Africology with a K and not a C. That is another issue that I think will be unfolded further on. That why am I bringing the issue of Africology and in line with technological advance? But my stance is that in adding to what Prof has said, that for us, it's not yet Uhuru of the new normal. It is not yet the new normal. It is yet to come. I would like to conclude my conversation by one of my tutors who used to say to us, when you are talking about new knowledge, as it is not new, but it is only new that it is being entertained in academia, referring to indigenous knowledge system, that do not behave as Africans if we were people, that somebody is putting a gun on our head and say, you jump, you go in with industrial revolution, fourth industrial revolution or so. We need to take our situation into stock, that we need to go down to the basics first, which is this knowledge that has been neglected. Now, the question is, how is it integrated into this advancement of technology? Thank you very much.
Great. That is, I would say, a conservationist approach to ensure that we take things step by step and not just the other way around. Thanks, Prof. Ziphorah. But I just want to just end with a final question to Prof. Magnus and Prof. Ziphorah concerning, so AAU E-Learn Africa is walking the talk to ensure that we realize the new digitized normal the best way we can. However, we still have to improve on the quality of these systems to ensure that we achieve the best. And one of the biggest concerns is how we can deliver softwares that will be able to reduce the cost of learning substantially, and also help us overcome the problem of faculty shortage. How well has AAU E-Learn Africa worked behind the scenes? We don't know if there's any, to ensure that these two challenges in the next future will be kept. Prof. Magnus and Prof. Ziphorah, this is to you both. Anyone can start first.
Okay, I go first. Look, what E-Learn Africa has done is to create a platform, and this platform is not static. It's a very dynamic platform. It will keep improving on a daily basis. For example, next month, we are looking at the launching of examination facilitation, proctoring on E-Africa, on the E-Learn Africa platform. Yeah. Then there will be the plagiarism things, then and as technologies emanate, they will be incorporated into the platform. Now, in terms of faculty, I give you this example. We run Nexus International University, and we have faculty from Oxford University, we have faculty from Harvard, we have faculty from Cambridge. Now, if I were to bring them to Africa to teach, I'll probably have to shut down, break into a bank, to get money to pay for those services. but yeah, that is true. But what we have done is to let them log into the platform, and they teach from there. And our students are from 18 countries, just like UNISA will have students from 40, 50, 60 countries. And they sit down in the comfort of their offices and listen to this Harvard lecturer for an hour or two, and that's it done. We don't need, look, the platform has cleared any university who says, I don't have enough PhDs, I don't have enough professors, that is no longer an excuse, because there is this platform where a professor from Australia, from Japan, from China, who have the medium of communicating to the students, right? Be it English or Chinese or, French or Spanish, once they can log in, the students will log into the same link and they will teach them from anywhere they are. My head of oil and gas management department, he has never been to Uganda. He has been managing the department for the past 4 years. He lives in Italy. He conducts all his activities from Italy. We support him from Uganda, and this has worked well for us. If we were to bring him to Uganda, I would have to find him a house. I would have to pay him European rate of fees. This doesn't, so this is what the platform has done for us. The platform has simplified the issue of shortage of lecturers. It has solved for us the issue of quality of lecturers, actually, the experience, the knowledge, the qualifications, all solved, by just use of that platform. So we at the Nexus International University, we have no problem with faculty. In fact, we have over faculty. We have people who are looking to teach for us, and we are saying to them, we have enough people at the moment. We don't have that problem at Nexus International University. And thanks to online learning for that.
Great one right there. Prof. Ziphorah, your view on this one?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very true that is what, like I indicated at the beginning, that this is what in Afrikaans, like I said, it's an unlock. It's very beautiful if you have to unlock that. That in our case, where our beloved Africa is always labeled as a hyena, I'm sure people can analyze that what does that mean? We take this, we leave that. When somebody says this and that, the next minute, we don't know what it is that is right for us in as far as our curriculum is concerned, which is so irrelevant to most African children. And when I looked at the LMS, I looked at it as if this will be not even a train, but a helicopter that will really help me in South Africa to rush to Uganda and offer my lecture on the module that I teach. I'm glad my COD is there, that she will tell you if I'm telling lies. The module which is referred to the teacher as a scholar, researcher, and a lifelong learner. If you can ask me to come and share that with you, I will easily do that at the click of the button without Prof. Magnus having to spend for my fares, for blah, 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 you name it all. However, I still wish that the AAU must take into concern that this is a mammoth task, especially the issue of a digital divide, that with so many technology advancing, but in our country, I'll talk about our country in particular, where I said we live in two worlds. The issue of digital divide is still there and it's still staring on our faces. Having said that, we can see the way in which that it will continue for a very long time, or as a matter of urgency, it has to remain an important object of public policy debate, whereby which affects the social, economic, and political issues, and as a result, affecting humanity and the universal at large. However, it remains an important object. This issue of technological divide remains an important object of public policy debate that has to be, it has to be a conversation that has to join, to bring forth the policy designers and especially politicians, because we know, like Professor Magnus indicated at the beginning, that this is their call. They need to be brought to the table. We cannot have this menu alone. They have to come in with their own menu and tell us that what are their taste buds telling them, or are they ticking or what with this menu that we think as educators or academics we are offering. Otherwise, we'll find ourselves talking alone in our own ivory towers. We're at the end of it all, the whole aim is to make sure that no African child is left behind.
Great, thank you very much. It's been an insightful and educative, also informative discussion with you on the issue of E-LearnAfrica, basically the initiative between AAU and E-LearnAfrica, AAU-eLearnAfricaLMS towards the digital divide, ensuring that we bridge the gaps and solve the challenges. It's great having you, Professor Magnus Amajirionwu. He's a Global Sustainability Expert and with the Nelson International University, and also Professor Ziphorah Miochella with the University of South Africa as Senior Lecturer. Thank you very much for your time and your contributions on this topic. I believe that we will still have more room to share more. As quality demands, we would always improve and share with each other about what we've done so far and how it can change the African continent. Thank you so much, and also for the E-Learn Africa team for your support.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you very much, and have a nice day.